Good to go, Steph? All right. We'll do roll call. Delvo.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Scannell.
Present.
Dean.
Here.
Pinkfus.
Yes.
Parma.
Yes.
And Jessica, I believe, is out on maternity leave, so it's like she might
Oh, wow.
not see her for a while, so.
Okay.
So we have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion, agenda approved. We have minutes from March 14th that need to get approved.
I move it to approve it, the minutes.
Second. Move it to approve.
Alderman Scannell, second by Matt. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Regular business, number 1. Consideration of possible action to approve a 60-day planning option for development on 1200 South Broadway for an urban storage building to Flip Barzan. And that's Rhonda.
Yep, and it's actually Philip Barson. We have a site located at 1200 South Broadway. It is zone light industrial, which currently has a market value of $10,600. We did receive a request for a 60-day planning option so that Philip Barson can explore his options and the opportunity to create a development for an urban storage unit. He has already submitted a conditional use permit application as well. The developer was requesting the purchase of the lot for $1,000 in the beginning, so I'm just going to kind of go in here. He has since counteroffered at $5,000. Staff is recommending the approval of the 60-day planning option. However, we are asking that the purchase price be $10,000 for the lot.
And there's no zoning requirements that need to get changed. I mean, it's acceptable in that area, the building?
It's light industrial, but he'll need to have a conditional use permit for the type of urban storage garage he's putting there.
Okay.
And just want to note that, it's not a traditional
Yeah.
urban storage design, which is one of the reasons why staff is looking at this project. If it were just like your standard outdoor storage, we would have been like, no, but this is more of an urban design, so that's why staff's in favor of it.
Mechanical?
It does.
Can I live there?
It'd be like the
Yeah, and I live there.
Questions, comments?
Philip is available if anybody has any questions.
The bottom line is, he has no issues with this project at all. Matter of fact, right there.
Just the price, like to see.
Just the
from
price for
5
the
to
lot.
10.
Yeah.
We'd like to get the 10,000 for the lot.
And that seems very reasonable.
Yes, I see, it's still a great buy.
9,500?
And at this point, though, we're just talking about a conditional,
Right.
I mean, just a plan.
A plan.
Not
Yep.
a development
Right.
agreement.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
There's still
Just the
going to be some
plan.
negotiation on the price of the lot.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Alderman Scannell,
Second.
second by Debbie. Questions and comments in regard to the motion? Second? If not, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Rhonda. All right, number 2, Will. Consideration with possible action to amend MF Housing Partners TIDA award of $400,000 from a loan to a grant.
Ta-da.
I'm sorry, TIDA.
Thank you. So the dust is finally beginning to settle with funding. I know if you recall, this has really been a roller coaster ride with where funding is coming from with we did denial and then the award. So financing is starting to solidify. So our team met with finance department to review loan terms for both ARPA and TDA. We were successful in determining loans for ARPA, so it's just an FYI, we're looking at 2% interest over a 20-year term for the ARPA funds. And then the TDA, however, involved further discussion, just looking at how we have awarded those funds to date, and trying to establish a baseline and how to make a loan work with those funds. So we felt that to be as equitable as possible with the TDA funds and to get them invested in projects, and we felt it best to use this funding source as a grant as opposed to a loan.
The original request came in as a grant. We offered the loan, I think, so.
Correct.
So,
So we're flip-flopping.
yeah,
We're-
we'd actually like to offer it as a grant instead of a loan.
And why the switch?
Well, first of all, we've used the TDA funds up to date as grants. So we have prior grant awards under the TDA funds. now this was a loan, why would this be a loan compared to the grants? You know, the grant is gonna help them on this project, which they're so close to being at the end of getting the financing approved. We have a loan on this already through ARPA, so.
And that was a recent change. You know, we only got guidance on being able to use ARPA funds as a loan really within the last
Right.
60 days, I think.
Right.
60 to 90, I think.
And we just want to make sure we're being consistent throughout this program and not picking and choosing, well, what projects are we going to choose to award as a grant and what as a loan?
If we were gonna do a loan, who actually were we loaning the money to? Like, I'm not sure, who's actually gonna be getting the loan?
It'd be MF Housing
MF Housing?
Partners.
How much is the ARPA?
$400,000.
Okay.
If it's done as a grant instead of a loan, does it need to still be that same size? Because there's definitely an impact on cash flow to the developer if we do this as a grant instead of a loan. So I'm wondering if we need to use up as much to dock funds then to do that.
That's a good question. We do have Jack Klister from MF Housing Partners team on the call who can talk a little bit more about financing and how that could potentially play out, or if that's an option. I do know, just working with MF Housing Partners and with Dave on their PUD, planned unit development, and the site plan, as with many affordable housing developments, budgets are really, really, really tight. So not to say that that we could reduce it or they could make do with less, but I know already I think we're having a difficult time trying to make the project pencil out to plan with the funding that we have.
Matt, we could open the meeting.
Yeah.
Motion to open the floor.
Second.
A motion and a second to open the floor to the public. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Floor is open. Jack? He's there, right?
Yeah, hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Dave's name and address?
Yeah, and thanks, Will, just to echo
State
your
your name and
comments there.
address.
What'd you say?
Oh, sorry, Jack, just as a formality, could you please state your name and address?
Oh,
Jack Lister, 229 East Washington Street, Appleton.
okay.
You know, to echo Will's comments, you know, we're trying to do everything that we can to make it pencil, to make it work, and to ultimately keep these rents as affordable as possible. So by switching this, it would definitely help our operating costs, but it wouldn't, you know, go into our pockets. These deals, it's not, you know, to increase the cash flow to go to us. We receive very little to no cash flow per year with this deal, but it would help with operating costs going forward and just allow us to keep it as affordable as possible.
Okay. And Cheryl, did you say that funds typically are grants?
We've awarded them as grants up to this point.
So why
I
did
think
we
that
do
was
that?
kind of the original intent. You know, if we could do a loan, we could. I think that's what our thoughts were, but really looking back on it now, everything we've done prior to grant, has been grants.
So why did we do this one as a loan?
I think
I mean, because a loan is different than, big difference from grant.
it is, and
Do we need to close the floor?
Well,
No, I mean, they
Okay,
can.
okay.
I think you can chime in.
you can open it, you
Yeah.
can get it, you want to respond. Good.
I think as MF Housing Partners and the development they brought forward, we've been working with them since before 2021. So a number of years now, and I think as these dollars were coming in and as we were seeing the market change so much with expenses, we were just, we don't know how long we're gonna have these funds for. Entertaining a loan product as opposed to grant makes sense. The idea of it makes sense, just so that we can capture those funds again and recycle them. But then as the program was developing, you know, I think.
We get additional funding sources that came in. That would be used.
And I think it's.
So we have additional
It's
funding.
It's Neil's point really, that probably makes the biggest difference, is that we didn't realize, well, we got new guidance from the federal government that we're able to actually loan out ARPA dollars, and originally it was going to have to be granted. So that's the thing that kind of has
We
flipped.
just flipped
Yep.
them.
So, I mean, generally speaking, you want to loan rather than grant money,
Right,
right?
right,
Because it
right.
stretches your dollar and,
Yep.
you know, bigger bang for the city's buck.
Right.
But I think that's the biggest thing that's changed.
So the guidance, and, okay.
Additional
I'm just
ARPA
trying to
funds that we can loan.
understand,
Right,
you know, how you flip it from a loan to,
right. So the ARPA will be the loan. There will be a loan on this through ARPA funds.
So going forward, ARPA will be loans, TDA will be grants.
to will be grants.
Okay,
I grant you
That's what
that.
we'd like to do.
okay.
All right, just want to understand.
Any other questions for Jack? No, I'll entertain a motion back to regular business.
Motion to close the floor.
Second.
Motion to close the floor, and second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're back to regular business.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Motion by Alderman Scannell, second by Kathy. Questions or comments in regard to the motion?
Just one last thing, I wouldn't write what Debbie said in blood, right? I think having the flexibility of either granting or lending from either pot of money is something that we want to maintain. You know, just the possibility of doing that, but yeah, I agree with the.
But if grants have always been, TDA has always been grants, what protocols are we going to follow between choosing grants? and-
I think that's what I think it's, staff would have to research and
Right.
better understand. Because at the end of the day, we just want to be equitable with this, and so far, would need to establish a clearer definition on how those funds are utilized within the city for affordable housing. Like, are we going to set aside a certain pot of the TDA funds for a loan program that's going to evolve, and we're going to set aside earmark a certain amount for grants, or how? It's important to be flexible, but we also want to make sure that, again, we're not somehow showing favoritism, or we're just being clear as to what reasoning we're using for a loan versus a grant.
One more
We're doing
question,
both.
Will. Physically, where is this project?
Oh, I'm sorry, 1100 block of Walnut.
Okay.
Roosevelt and Walnut.
Roosevelt, yeah.
Oh, I know where, I know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and we need the housing.
Yeah, definitely,
So
especially
It
affordable.
makes sense.
Right.
Because it's for affordable.
And to be clear, I think the default position, I think when staff would be looking at these, would kind of try to focus the TDA as a grant, kind of assuming going in, and then ARPA's probably default position would be a more of a financing option. But to the mayor's point, depending on what the cash flow situation is, we're dealing with a particular project, certainly staff would want to come and say, you know, for one reason or another, switching one of those, this is why we would recommend that. We would probably, but I think for as a default operation, but for consistency's sake, we would probably look at it that way as a default position. But as we evaluate the individual project financing, if there's a reason to consider one or the other, we would certainly be presenting that to you guys with that justification why there would be something different.
And additionally, with the grant dollars, how they're going to be administered is that they're not upfront. So it's really based on project completion and what they've spent. So they still have to spend out money to seek reimbursement for those funds, to draw down on those funds. So.
Very good.
Almost like a pay-go.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions or comments in regard to the motion?
Nope.
If not, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Will. Number 3, consideration with possible action to approve a one-year planning option extension to On Broadway Inc. for RDA owned parcels 4-91, 4-91A, 4-79, 4-77, 4-78, 4-161, and 4-160. Brooke, is that you?
That's me, actually. I think Brooke will be helping out maybe.
Okay.
If you have questions for her. Back in January of last year, you might recall that RDA considered a one-year planning option for these parcels shown up here, which are kind of behind the old Ford Square building. That's the building near Broadway and Hubbard. OBI is, of course, planning to improve the adjacent property for their public market project. So they are wanting just to secure that planning option so they can plan for improvements that complement the market project, considering improvements for parking structure, possibly housing. They have been working with development partners over the past year to put together a proposal. That work is still underway. These projects take a lot of time. So they are requesting another one-year extension to their planning option. And so that's the request today, just to extend that for one additional year. If if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
I got a question for Brooke, actually. A couple of you said to me, boy, we sure just got a grocery store right around here on the west side, near west side.
We do.
Well, it's tiny though, but anyway. My
It's
question
not
is,
that bad.
well,
Anyway.
you're probably more familiar than I am, but my question is, will there be an actual regular grocery in this project?
Yeah, that's absolutely the intention, is to make sure people can not only go there to enjoy going out to eat and have an experience, but to make sure they can get their groceries as well.
Excellent. Very good. A couple of folks asked me about that. All right.
And just a note,
Yes.
that there are several city-owned properties that will also be going to the EDA for a similar extension. So there are city-owned properties. You guys are looking at the RDA-owned properties on the map.
Right.
If you remember, there's a few city-owned parcels that will actually go through a similar extension request through the Economic Development Authority. So,
Adjacent.
Yeah,
immediately adjacent, yeah.
I am a little confused though, looking at the map. I thought the idea for a parking ramp, housing development was actually more right behind, actually just north.
It's on one of those EDA properties that I'm mentioning, absolutely, it's kind of, they're looking at that, but there also are some improvements that they would be looking at in this particular area here as well, that would be related to the project. But the actual, I think the structure, parking structure and/or a residential unit would most likely be immediately
Behind, okay.
behind the building, yes.
Okay, all right.
EDA did approve that planning option extension last week. It's going to go to the next council meeting.
Okay. Questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Melody. Alderman Scannell, and a second by Melody. Any questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Pat.
I want him
Please don't ask me the questions.
All right, number 4, consideration of possible action to approve demolition of 1035 Brandenbrack Street, parcel 20-350, for the purpose of redeveloping the site for affordable housing through an RFP process.
All right.
Cheryl.
That's me. It's a painful motion, because staff has worked on this project for a long time. So, Zozo's, we purchased Zozo's. We had 2 options, a community center, affordable housing. So we really tried to get a community center based here. We worked with nonprofits to see if we could partner with them. We had BSA do some numbers for us. We couldn't get it. It's too much money. I was thinking of Matt Schuler, right? Because there's always that option to not try to take it down, right? Which is right, we have to think that way. And I think we got to the point of staff where we said, look, we have really done our due diligence. We cannot set this up as a community center. So we'd like to take it down and stuff. Can you pull up? Our second option would be affordable housing site. So Aaron did some, a kind of a layout for us that we would RFP, and how we could do right here.
Yeah, right.
We'd be able to get a number of affordable housing units on this
Yeah.
site. We can't open that cul-de-sac up, but, you know, this is still close, it's like a block from a park, I mean, it's still great, it's a mixed neighborhood. We also have 3 parcels to the east on there as well that we can develop, 3 separate singles or townhomes as well. But we're gonna go forward with this, which means we have to take out the old Zozo's Eagles Club.
Oh, yes,
So what is billboard on there?
There's actually a billboard. We have a lease that's good, I think, for 1 more year. We have to keep it up and then we can terminate that
Good.
lease. But, so I want to say it's like $4,000 a year.
Yep.
We get from that.
But-
Put the billboard on top of one of the buildings?
No, I think.
No.
we'll take the billboard down.
Okay.
Yes.
The kids need a place to play.
Bite your tongue.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Okay, good.
But we have 1 more year on this lease that we have to, so
Okay.
we'll keep the billboard out. And this is just a proposal. There may be, you know, different designs that might come in. We'd like to get the biggest bang for our buck here, though.
I like the playground.
So, yeah, there's some.
Green space.
Pretty optimistic we're gonna get some response to the RFP.
We've had interested parties contact us.
We
already,
have, and this
so-
is also in a qualified census tract, so this site is ideal for a tax credit project as well. And it's really, I mean, right off of Webster, gateway into to Green Bay, it's a really great location.
Absolutely,
Near a lot of amenities.
absolutely.
Like when?
Like,
Some other things.
in Bay Beach,
Bay Beach.
wildlife sanctuary.
Well, I certainly like the second option,
Yeah,
so, I mean, too bad about the first, but
yeah,
the second one is really,
yes, that's good as well.
yeah. Motion to approve.
Yep.
So,
Melody.
So we're approving the demo, this proposal for the
Correct.
demo.
Correct.
And just, do we only get one demo?
This is, we have our contract, we have a contract, a yearly contract.
Okay.
We go out for RFP and we have one demo per
Got
se.
it.
And this
Okay.
is the estimate, so. I have it not to exceed 70, just in case something comes up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Questions and comments?
Did you ever wonder why a bar board, a billboard might have a bar board or a barber board? You wonder?
No. Never. That can be on the record.
Just wanted to go away.
Under discussion.
So, do we approve?
No, I don't think it was seconded.
I didn't hear the first motion. That's-
Yeah, I made a motion to
Oh,
approve.
sorry.
I just needed to make sure I understood what we were motioning.
Yep.
All right, I will second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, Alderman Scannell and Melody. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right,
We sign.
number 5. Consideration of possible action to approve the CDBG property acquisition policies and procedures document, which there's quite a document here.
Yep, and it's really, it's a result of our HUD monitoring, they wanted us to put this, we have a URA federal handbook we can reference. They wanted one specifically for Green Bay, which outlines the letters, and so that's what this is. Different rules when you acquire property using block grant dollars, so.
And very much based on their standard
Yep.
procedure.
Yep.
Right.
You are, uniform relocation.
Insert Green Bay here.
Exactly. Yes, and adopted.
Questions or comments in regard to policy procedure update?
Nope. I move to approve the CDBG property acquisition policies and procedures document.
Second?
Debbie, motion by Debbie, second by Alderman Scannell. Questions or comments? If not, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Excellent work.
Officially approved.
Yep.
Could be official.
Yes.
I didn't have any questions or comments in regard to the financial report and our check report. Did anybody else have any questions or comments? Keep up the good work. And director's report. Neil,
All right, just a couple of time between you and enjoying a 70-degree day. I'm going to keep this quick. If you haven't gone past the Legacy Hotel project, I highly recommend you do so. Construction is really going along at a great pace. We've actually got some of the bump outs have been installed for Public Works, where we've added some of the decorative lighting that's been talked about here. So really it's moving along at a great pace. It's going to be a great project. So stop out and take a look at that if you can. Similarly, obviously, folks hopefully noticed all the activity at the Fort project in the rail yard, seeing the cranes and wood framing going up, and they're also going about as fast as they think they can humanly go. So excited to see them moving forward and proceeding. Wanted to also make note of, we continue to work with, we're evaluating some schedule changes from Merge Urban Development, as well as we're actually evaluating kind of that first kind of cash flow project recommendation from Impact 7. So working with Ellers, our financial consultant, to kind of review those and evaluate what the impacts of the TIF would be for those. So kind of probably have something more concrete for this body to probably take a look at in our next meeting, we're hoping. So continuing discussions with them. 200 North Monroe is still working on their financing and finalizing their environmental remediation plan in terms of how to address some of the things that are on there. It's one of those deals where the easiest thing to do would probably be to get them to not do underground work, but we really like the project design, so we're trying to figure out how to keep it moving and without losing the design aesthetic that everybody's kind of approved and really liked on this project. Apartment 222 Cherry Street, we believe, is on schedule. I don't have a hard and fast date on that, but we think demolition is going to be beginning on that here really within the next 30 to 60 days. So we're excited to see that moving forward. You guys had already discussed, I believe, a little bit the 216 military in terms of kind of the random route that project has taken. We continue to work with Ted Mackin Gorman on possibly identifying alternative sites for a project. So cautiously optimistic that he's looked at a couple options. We think he has one that might work. So depending on how things shake out with that, we may be coming back forward with an alternative project for that. So basically the same project, but a different location is what we'd be hoping for. So lots of work to still be done before that becomes real. Just to identify, we have almost finalized the CSM for 100 East Mason Street, the One Astor project. We finally have got the property lines where we need them. Now we're working with Public Works to finalize the easements that need to go in there. We finally discovered we're having trouble identifying one. No one was sure what it was, and we finally read it past Brian Powell at the Water Department. He goes, well, that would be the main water mains that actually cross the river through that location right there. We're like, okay, those are big pipes, so we don't really want to mess with those. So we've got that, we're just kind of finalizing exactly, making sure we've got all the right easement documents, and at that point, once that's done, we'll be able to actually finalize the property swap with the bike trail, and then actually get essentially the estate paid for the work, the trail work that has been done, and that'll be kind of complete phase one, and we'll probably put that property up for sale. The developer probably will at that point. We're in discussions with DDL properties on Building T over in the rail yard in terms of some facade work, so we're hopefully going to be kind of trying to come to an agreement with them on that. We've kind of got minimum standards that the program generally requires as a default in terms of, the facade. Facing the street is kind of really where we need the focus to be. Obviously, they're a little bit of a unique building because they certainly have the facade that faces the river and the park, so it's kind of a two-wall facade. They're wanting to put more of the improvements on the river side. We're kind of working with them to try to get some more things on the Broadway side in terms of things there. But hopefully we'll have something coming forward with that soon as well. Having some good conversations regarding expanding the Grandview Industrial Park. We're looking at trying to figure out exactly. We've got some kind of infrastructure plans and things. Folks have seen Carnivore, if you've driven out there, that's a great big building that's been constructed out there, now they're moving ahead. And again, a very, very high pace. Excited for that, so we're looking to try to figure out what our plans are to continue that development out in that immediate area. So hopefully we're going to have some things coming in the next 60 days for that. Just attended this morning, we attended the 2023 Port Symposium, Port of Green Bay. So they had a really good update regarding the coal piles relocation. Their Polium site is essentially reported at 30% design level in terms of kind of creating what they're going to do with the Polium site. That was the time that they said they would be reaching out to Sea Rice Coal and asking them to become a part, start participating in the design. So they were having that conversation. Matt and I were there this morning having that discussion as we were there. In terms of setting up the next meeting, so we were very confident that was a very good presentation. Again, still seems like a lot of good federal support for the project from multiple agencies. We're all here in attendance this morning, so we're confident that progress that's going to continue.
Good, very good.
So, and I think that's probably the main update. If there's any other questions, happy to answer anyway. I guess one more I would put out. JBS site, the redevelopment of the JBS site, we've actually had a couple of engagement efforts. One was on the Saturday where we got a foot of snow. As you might imagine, we didn't get really great attendance to that day. The consultant actually went and took a lot of their engagement materials and programs actually over to JBS. So employees could actually come over on their lunch hour and participate in what kind of housing they like, sort of parks, things they like. So we got really good feedback from that. We still need to kind of go back and still need to re-engage the neighborhood a little bit more. That was kind of what we were hoping for on that Saturday. Weather had other plans. So we still need to re-engage them on that aspect of it. But that project is again, continuing forward at this point. So and with that, if there's any other questions anyone has, happy to answer.
We're going to get a copy of that by the end of the week?
Plan, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the plan. I'd say, Mr. Mayor, congratulations. Do you have any updates? Anything you want to
Just glad this isn't my last meeting.
We are too.
Yeah, no, and I just appreciate the authority for all the work these past 4 years. I think we've been pretty productive here, but hoping to be even
Lots
more
of
so.
things going on. That's a
in
good
the next
thing.
4 years ahead, so appreciate it.
Absolutely, thank you. Anybody else, questions for staff or the mayor?
Motion to adjourn it.
Motion to adjourn. The next meeting is May 9th.
Second?
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Recording stopped.
Amelia.